Have you ever stopped to wonder why, even as technology races forward at breakneck speed, some people never seem to get ahead, no matter how hard they work? In 2026, artificial intelligence is no longer just a tool that makes life easier or businesses more efficient. It has quietly begun reshaping the very foundations of opportunity, income, and human value. How is it possible that a machine, built from code and data, could influence who succeeds and who struggles without anyone noticing until it's almost too late? And if AI can decide productivity, market trends, and even creative output, what does that mean for the millions who rely solely on traditional skills or outdated education to survive? Is it just a coincidence that wealth and technological power seem to accumulate in fewer and fewer hands, or is there a deeper pattern we are missing? Think about work. For centuries, humans measured value through effort, the hours put in, the tasks completed, the output produced. But what if effort itself is becoming irrelevant? AI systems can analyze, predict, and generate solutions faster than any human could hope to. What happens to people whose jobs are defined by repetition, data entry, or even creative tasks that can now be automated? If intelligence and efficiency are no longer measured by human labor but by algorithms, where does that leave the vast majority of the workforce? And if this is already happening in industries ranging from finance to media, how long before it touches every field, every office, every city? Why do some people seem almost immune to these changes, while others are swept aside? Is it simply education, or is it something more subtle, like access to networks, information, or the ability to interpret complex systems? What if schools, even the most prestigious ones, are failing to teach the skills that matter in a world where AI decides who gets hired, who gets funded, and who gets visibility? And if traditional markers of competence, degrees, certifications, resumes lose their meaning, how will society measure value? Could it be that the system itself is designed to reward adaptability and control over knowledge, leaving those who rely on outdated formulas perpetually behind? Consider wealth creation. For centuries, building financial security meant saving, investing, and accumulating assets. But now, AI-driven markets, predictive trading algorithms, and automated investment platforms are dominating wealth growth. How is it possible that a single AI system can analyze global trends, execute trades in milliseconds, and capture opportunities that humans might take years to notice? And what does it mean for individuals who still rely on intuition, advice, or slow decision-making? Are they at a structural disadvantage, not because of laziness or lack of talent, but because the rules themselves have changed in ways most people don't even see? Even creativity, once considered uniquely human, is no longer immune. AI can write novels, produce music, design products, and generate art with breathtaking efficiency. If anyone can generate content indistinguishable from a human expert, what happens to those who make a living from their craft? How do they compete when the barrier to entry disappears and quantity, speed, and predictive success become more valuable than originality? Is it possible that human skill, as we have always known it, will become a luxury rather than a necessity? And if that happens, how will society redefine status, achievement, and meaningful work? The AI economy also operates on networks, connections, and scale. Machines don't just replace labor, they amplify influence. Why does a small group of innovators, programmers, and entrepreneurs capture massive wealth while countless others with similar dedication fall behind? Could it be that AI isn't just a tool, but a force multiplier for those who already have access? And if opportunity is distributed not equally, but according to who can leverage AI most effectively, what happens to fairness, merit, and the notion of a level playing field? Now consider education again. Schools and universities teach knowledge that is static, but AI consumes and generates knowledge dynamically. What if the future of learning isn't memorization, but pattern recognition, strategic thinking, and the ability to collaborate with intelligent systems? Why do most curricula still prepare people for a world that no longer exists? And if millions enter adulthood without these skills, is it any wonder that wealth and opportunity are concentrated among those who adapt first? Could it be that poverty in the AI economy is not a result of effort or intelligence, but of timing, access, and preparation? Income inequality is not just a side effect, it is embedded in the infrastructure of the AI economy. Automated systems can reduce costs, predict consumer behavior, and maximize profits, but the benefits are rarely shared evenly. How is it possible that algorithms designed to optimize efficiency can inadvertently or perhaps deliberately widen the gap between the wealthy and everyone else? And why do most people fail to notice until the disparity becomes extreme, until the opportunity to catch up has passed? Could the very logic of AI-driven markets favor consolidation, leaving survival to those who can adapt and agility to those who control the technology? Even human attention has become a currency in this new era. AI recommends, curates, and prioritizes information, shaping what we see, learn, and consume. How is it possible that algorithms, optimized for engagement and influence, can indirectly affect income, career opportunities, and social mobility? If a person's visibility online or professional reputation depends on automated systems that constantly assess value, does that mean success is partly out of human control? And if so, what happens to the billions of people trying to compete for recognition in a world where AI can outperform anyone at speed, scale, and prediction? Then there is the role of automation in basic survival. Tasks once considered essential for human employment, driving, logistics, customer service, even medical diagnostics, are increasingly handled by AI. What happens when employment no longer scales with population growth? How does society absorb people displaced by machines that are faster, cheaper, and more reliable? Could poverty in this context become structural rather than accidental, a condition baked into the design of the economy itself? And if that is the case, is universal income or other safety nets a solution, or merely a temporary patch on a fundamentally transformed landscape? We also must think about behavioral economics. Humans are prone to fear, procrastination, and bias. Machines are not. How is it possible that the very traits that once protected human decision-making, caution, moral intuition, social empathy, might now be disadvantages in an AI-driven market? Could the characteristics that define the majority of the population as average also make them less competitive in an economy dominated by rapid, precise, data-driven decisions? And if human psychology is at odds with AI efficiency, how does society reconcile the needs of people with the logic of machines? AI also shifts power. The ability to generate wealth, influence markets, and predict trends increasingly resides with those who control the systems. Why does this concentration of power happen naturally in AI-driven environments? Is it because scale multiplies advantage, or because systems are designed to reward early adoption and network effects? And what happens when those who control AI not only create wealth but shape norms, access, and opportunity itself? Could poverty in the AI economy be less about scarcity and more about exclusion from the mechanisms that create abundance? Globalization intersects with AI in unprecedented ways. Opportunities that once required physical presence now depend on digital fluency and algorithmic literacy. Why do some regions benefit massively while others stagnate? How is it possible that a coder in one country can access global markets instantly, while someone in another region remains disconnected despite equal talent or effort? And if AI mediates access to opportunity, is poverty increasingly determined by geography, connectivity, and institutional support rather than merit or desire? Consider risk and innovation. AI encourages experimentation because systems can simulate outcomes, analyze probabilities, and minimize failure. But what if most people lack access to these tools? Does this mean innovation itself becomes gated, available only to those with resources and foresight? And if that is true, how long before the wealth gap is compounded not just by income, but by the ability to innovate, predict, and act on insights before anyone else even sees the opportunity? Even basic financial literacy is transformed. Investments, wealth growth, and income streams are no longer linear. How is it possible that algorithms can outperform humans in predicting stock trends, cryptocurrency fluctuations, and global market shifts? What does that mean for individuals trying to rely on traditional advice or personal intuition? Could the inability to interact effectively with AI-driven financial systems become a core reason most people cannot escape poverty, regardless of effort or education? What about social structures? AI mediates hiring, lending, and even social recognition. Can networks and relationships that once guaranteed security still provide stability? Or are traditional social protections eroding because decision-making is now outsourced to machines with no loyalty, empathy, or nuance? How do people adapt when the rules are invisible, the criteria constantly shifting, and access determined by signals that only machines fully understand? Even creativity and entrepreneurship are reshaped. AI can generate products, marketing strategies, and business models at unprecedented scale. If anyone can launch a business assisted by AI, why do so many still fail? Is it lack of capital, timing, or knowledge? And if the margin between success and failure narrows to milliseconds of AI assisted decision making, how do ordinary people compete without access to the same tools? Could this explain why wealth consolidates so dramatically in the AI economy? As AI becomes more integrated into daily life, the boundary between human skill and machine capability blurs. Why do we still cling to the notion that hard work alone guarantees security? How is it possible that the trait celebrated historically, discipline, diligence, expertise, might now be insufficient without strategic interaction with AI systems? And if the economy rewards adaptation to intelligence rather than mere labor, how do we redefine what it means to succeed? Finally, consider the psychological consequences. Awareness of inequality in an AI economy can create stress, despair, and disillusionment. What if understanding the system is not enough to overcome structural barriers? Why does hope often require both access to tools and timing, resources that many simply do not have? And if poverty in the AI era is less about personal failure and more about systemic dynamics, how does society balance fairness, innovation, and the human need to thrive? The AI economy is a mirror reflecting both potential and peril. Could understanding its mechanisms, incentives, and hidden patterns provide a way to navigate its challenges? Or is the system designed so that most people are always a step behind, struggling to catch up to an invisible engine that governs opportunity, wealth, and influence? When machines shape decisions faster than humans can perceive, who truly benefits, and who is left wondering why life feels like a race they were never invited to join? Once you begin asking these questions, it becomes clear that staying poor in the AI economy is rarely accidental. It is often structural, emergent from systems that reward speed, access, knowledge, and adaptability in ways invisible to most. And yet, within this complexity, curiosity becomes the greatest advantage. What if asking the right questions is the first step toward participating in a world where intelligence is no longer measured solely by human effort, but by how we collaborate with systems that think faster, see farther, and act more decisively than anyone ever could before? In 2026, the AI economy is not a future threat, it is the present reality. And understanding why most people remain on the margins requires not just observing machines, markets, and algorithms, but questioning the very foundations of opportunity, power, and value. Could it be that the most important skill is not technical mastery, but the ability to perceive, adapt, and ask questions that reveal patterns invisible to the untrained eye? And if that skill becomes the true currency of the new economy, who will thrive and who will continue to struggle? Not for lack of talent, but for lack of insight into the forces shaping every decision, every opportunity, and every outcome in a world ruled increasingly by artificial intelligence.